that is what we talked about before, what Stantec is going to come forward with, taking those items and saying, okay, here it is, guys, let's put this in front of zoning, or let's do the council ordinance, whatever we need to do to make it have some real teeth and make it work going forward, which will also help the planning commission do their job.
Thank you. Mr. Igneri.
Didn't give me a grade, though.
Wonderful. Your part was an A.
Since you worked on it,
I didn't tell you what it was.
since you worked on it, it's hard to give a grade. And I agree with what Mr. Livingston said. And I think there were periods of time where the plan was just put aside and no one was really paying attention to it. And that is not our plan going forward with the POC we're doing now. It's supposed to be an active plan, and we're going to look at that. It's actually going to look at taking planning and zoning and putting them together. Maybe that's needed. It's going to look at, do we need a city planner? It's answering a lot of it's hopefully will answer a lot of the questions that have come up since the last POCD. So I'm reasonably or cautiously optimistic about it.
Thank you. Mr. DeRoche.
No grade.
Mr. Bonifant made a comment earlier this evening in how planning and zoning were taken apart for political reasons. While there's a lot of truth to that comment, having served on a zoning commission for as long as I did, I can tell you there's a lot of work involved on a regular basis. Meetings every week, meetings for 3 nights a week, every week. There are a lot of other kind of off-committee meetings you have and conversations you have with people just so you can keep up with the volume of change. I think the most important thing about a POCD is that we look at strategic sites in the city of Norwalk and decide how we want those developed. When you have a POCD with teeth in it, that means you have to go through and look at all your zoning regulations and adjust those zoning regulations. And I can tell you, mayors in the past, both Democrat and Republican, have appointed somebody to go in there and say, we're going to change the zoning regs. Very hard thing to do, because what happens is you make properties non-conforming, which creates a whole different issue in of itself. So I think you plan, you look at those sites, you decide what can be done with them, and you go from there.
Thank you. And Mr. Jewett.
In my time in the Air Force, I worked on a number of initiatives that involved organizational and strategic planning that brought in lots of different organizations to come together, put together a proposal for changing procedures or changing overall how an organization is going to be set up to accomplish some new initiative. None of those would have been successful if we had come together, built a plan, and put it on the shelf, and not spent the time to then go back to our different offices and put together the lower level plans of how we actually need to execute this overall new strategic plan. After attending a couple of the Coalition for Norwalk Neighborhood Association meetings and hearing different members there talk about how we had this great master plan, but then the lower level pieces to actually execute it weren't actually put in place. And some of my colleagues here have actually mentioned those, the changes to the planning and zoning regs. And I know charter revision is actually thrown around as part of that whole effort to actually implement the things that we need to do it.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have another question?